Hello and welcome back, or if you're here for the first time, just welcome. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Autumn Republic by Brian McClellan, published in 2015. This is the third book in the Powder Mage Trilogy. I don't really know how to talk about this book without talking about spoilers for the Crimson Campaign and Promise of Blood, so you've been warned. I'll try to keep the first part of this review regarding The Autumn Republic spoiler-free, but then I'm going to get into spoilers for that as well. What to say about this book? I've really enjoyed the Powder Mage Trilogy. I loved the first book. I thought it was really entertaining, really fast-paced, action-packed, so many twists and turns. You didn't know what was happening or what was gonna happen. I loved the world and characters. And then the second book was better in almost every way. It was much more focused and it felt like we were barreling towards this inevitable conclusion. But this book kind of disappointed me. I hate to say it. It's just, it did. And I'll tell you why. Please don't hate me if you love this book and thought it was the best conclusion possible to this trilogy, but I didn't think this was the best conclusion possible. I thought it was still a good read, and I would still recommend this series to anybody. I think I sound like a broken record here, but I love the characters, I love the world, I love the magic system, and I love the conflict. There's so many good ideas in this trilogy. At the end of the second book, where are we? Tamis has returned from behind enemy lines. He is alive and well. Taniel, who was single-handedly winning the war on the front with Carpol, went behind enemy lines to try and kill Kresimir. That didn't go so well. Kresimir ended up killing Mahali, and Lord Claremont returns to Adro with all the Brudanian army behind him to challenge Rickard Tumbler in the election for the position of First Minister of Adro. So for me, what I wanted in the third book, I wanted Taniel and Carpol, one, to get comeuppance against General Ket, who was super frustrating in book 2 and a great antagonist to Taniel. Or I wanted some meeting of the minds in which Ket is either vindicated in what she's been doing, I wanted some reconciliation, or I wanted her to be exposed as a traitor. I wanted Taniel and Carpol to also fight Kresimir and defeat him, and that should have been the grand finale in my mind. I wanted Tamis to return to the front of his army. I wanted him to take back this war and start winning, and then kill Ipoli and avenge his wife. And it seemed to me that Brian McClellan was setting up Beorn having a role in this, and that somehow Tamis and Beorn would work together to defeat Ipoli and end this war. And then I wanted Adamat to help Rickard Tumbler save Adro and win the election against Lord Claremont. So, not all of those things happened, except I guess Rickard Tumbler and Adamat do defeat Lord Claremont in the election, and Tamis does return to the front. He figures out there's a traitor. General Ket kind of gets comeuppance, kind of, and then she just disappears and is never heard from again, and that to me was super unsatisfying. I don't know, the action scenes were pretty good. I liked the whole thing with Lord Claremont not having a shadow. I liked Adamat's storyline. I liked Tamis and Taniel finally getting reunited. That was great. Yeah, we never get that final showdown between Kresimir, Carpol, and Taniel, and that was disappointing. I really wanted that because Kresimir had been set up to be kind of the big baddie for this whole series, and then there's kind of a shuffling around at the last minute, and it turns out that Lord Claremont is a god and he's the big baddie, but wait, he's actually two gods, and Lady Winterslav is the other half of that god, and she's kind of more of the big baddie, I guess. I think this story lacked a great villain. It really did, and that's kind of part of the problem. I think Lord Claremont is a good villain. He felt like a B-story villain for most of the book, though. It was really cool at the end of A Promise of Blood when Kresimir came down, and it's like, oh my gosh, he's real. He's here. Like, oh you know? Like, and then the second book, I wanted to get more of Kresimir, and we got some, and what we got was like pretty good and pretty intimidating. It was kind of scary to see him losing his mind and hearing how he's wreaking havoc on the Kez armies because he's going insane from the bullet in his eye that Taniel put there, and I wanted to see a conclusion to that, but we just didn't get it. There was a moment when Taniel went behind enemy lines in the second book to get Kresimir's bloodstained sheets. That was a really exciting moment, and it exposed that Kresimir is actually vulnerable to Taniel, but Kresimir just kind of dies off screen in this book. I'm just left feeling a little bit disappointed in this conclusion. Tamis doesn't kill Ipoli either, and Beorn doesn't play a huge role in ending the war and creating peace with Kez. I guess there's kind of the promise that he'll be a better leader than his father, but he's not really in charge. His brother is. His brother kills Ipoli. I wanted to see Tamis get revenge for his wife. On a positive note, I really feel like Tamis is at his best in this book. You really understand why he's a great leader in this book and why so many people believe in him and rally behind him and why he inspires his men. Tamis was awesome in this book. Maybe I'm too simplistic. Maybe, I like kind of things tied up neatly. I really do feel like at the end of the day, the problem I have with this series is premise and payoff. Things aren't properly set up and then come to a conclusion. Things kind of seem to happen a little bit at random, and for that reason, I'm left feeling unsatisfied. But I don't want to sound like I hate this book at all. Like I said in my last review, these books kind of feel like a friend to me because I've really enjoyed spending time with them, and it's been mostly positive. But I do see their flaws, and I see some mistakes that they've made. But I still love them. It's still a great book. I would still totally recommend that people read these books. I think they're great. I think Brian McClellan's a very promising author. I'm going to continue to read what he's writing. And the other stuff he's already published, I'm excited to read that. I think the second book was the best book in the trilogy. It set up such a great conclusion, and then I just didn't feel like I got that conclusion. The direction we were going in was just kind of cut short. I've got mixed feelings on this one. I do. Maybe I just didn't read it in the right mindset, and I need to go back and reread it, and I'll pick up on things that I missed, like maybe things were set up properly, and I just missed it as a reader. That's totally possible. I'm open to being wrong. I just think there's a few things that keep this series from being great. On Goodreads, I just can't give this book 5 stars. I think this is probably the weakest book in the trilogy, unfortunately. If you feel differently about this book and you think it was fantastic and I'm just completely wrong, hopefully you'll forgive me and allow me to have a different point of view. But I want to be honest too about how I felt about the book. As always, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the Powder Mage Trilogy and specifically the Autumn Republic. Did it meet your expectations? Did it exceed them? Were you like me? Did you feel a little bit disappointed? Were you hoping for a bit of a different conclusion? As always, I invite you to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you back here soon. The Autumn Republic published... The Autumn Republic... The Autumn Republic was published... The Autumn Republic was published. The Autumn...